to now, obviously I've seen from afar all the stuff that you've done and the things that you're doing. Quite obviously interested in hearing the story, to be honest, mate, because it's an area that I've been working on in the background myself just for ages. Sort of, like a bit of a personal journey.
Yeah.
Something that seems like you've been doing, and I've just had quite a lot of interest in it actually. So I'd be interested to hear the story about it all.
Yeah, wicked, man. So let's go back, mate, and let's talk about where we was in our lives. Like, let's talk about your story first, because we met in Ibiza when I was a DJ, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
by the pool in Wiki Woo.
literally. So
I would go back there. I would go back there at some point.
Yeah, but I think going back to those sorts of places now would be a completely different experience to what before, different mindset, different outlook. So where was you back then in your life? I mean, that was like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a weird one. Like, obviously, I was in a place of completely different mentality back then. I was kind of like chasing, the typical Essex boy kind of like. I was quite a long way in my career in terms of, I do wealth management now and like financial planning and all that side of stuff. So I was still in that. Yeah. But the person who I was just completely living for other people, like trying to look a certain way, be a certain way.
Trying to impress others, yeah?
Sorry?
Trying to impress others.
That's it, yeah. Flexing stuff I didn't have and all that sort of thing.
Why did you think you used to do that back then? Because I used to do the same.
Well, you actually put up a story not long ago, actually, and it was just totally there. When you start, goes back that old adage on Instagram, isn't it? Trying to do things for people you don't even like, trying to impress people you don't even care about, and all that stuff. I don't really know. Like, there's a whole personal story about why I did all the things that I did and why I did it with like my family and all that. I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff. But it's when you sort of start learning and start enlightening yourself that there are other ways, like even like just your job. Like, you don't have to have a 9-to-5 job and just do that sort of thing. And there are different ways to live your life. You don't have to be pigeonholed to all of it. And I just started doing all my own reading, mate. Taking a step back, thinking, is this really it? You start looking around you, and no disrespect to my friends or anything, you think, is this really what I want? Do I want to be this the sort of person, or do I want to be something more? And then you go on a journey, don't you? You've probably embodied the stuff I've been doing in the background a little bit, by creating a big brand, because I did dabble in the whole sort of life coaching, because people who saw a change in me and sort of seeing me developing, the positivity, they were like, oh, you should just go into that and do all that sort of thing. And I was just like, I'll stick to what I'm good at with finances and help people with their financial well-being, as opposed to the physical, intellectual, spiritual side. But I've so much more to learn, and I'm anywhere near perfect at all at the moment, but I think this sort of time challenges everyone, doesn't it? But yeah, it's been a good journey.
That's just so inspiring, man. That's really cool. Like, where you was in your life, like, to now, must be like, looking back from where you was, must be like, that's a completely different person. Like, that's not even I don't even recognise that person.
No, exactly. Even from the skinny jeans, like, I can't even deal with that now. Shorts that weren't even in existence, they were so small. Like, I can't even deal with that anymore.
It's so funny, mate. But like what you're saying, like, about like the financial intelligence and stuff, and spirituality and mindset, and when people approach you and say, you should be teaching people this stuff, right? Like, we're always learning, and we only get to a point where we can't learn anymore. Like, there's always things to learn. There's always personal development. There's always new things. But once you've learned something and you've mastered what you've learned, the next stage is to then go on and teach it and express what you learn, because you become what you learn. What you read, what you listen to, who you're surrounded by is ultimately who you will become. When you become that person, and people that haven't changed, that they look at you and think, like, this is like, you're so inspiring, like, you've changed so much, like, what's your secrets? It's like, I'm just constantly looking for self-growth. I'm constantly looking to improve myself, and I'm constantly eliminating the defects that don't really help me when it comes
things that don't serve you.
Yeah, things that don't serve you. So, mate, hats off to you for like doing that, because there's not a lot of people that would go, you know what, I'm gonna wake up now, and I'm gonna, do what it takes to get me to where I want to be.
Well, what was that? Because I can point to a specific moment. What was that moment for you where you sort of went? Was it a moment even where you went, do you know what? I'm not having this anymore. There's got to be something more. And then you sort of took that path. Was there a moment, or was it a series of moments? Do you think?
Yeah. So the one big epiphany moment for me was when I was living in Marbella, and I think it was the year after, or the same year that I saw you. That's when it all started. When I was DJing in Ibiza and I was DJing in Marbella, when I was living there,
Yeah.
I met my mentor out in Marbella. I knew him from my DJ work, and he was known for his compassion to help others. He's a successful entrepreneur. And I went to him and I just said, look, I know you're a successful guy. I said, I'm right now in my life, I've achieved everything I've wanted to with my DJing, but I'm still empty. I still feel lost in my life. I still feel confused. I still feel anxious and I feel depressed. And I said, I want more out of life than what meets the eye. Yeah, because everyone seems to think my life is amazing, like, apart from me, Like, James, oh, he's smashing it. He's DJing Ibiza at Ocean Beach, and he's DJing at Kistri and Marbella, and he's living the life, traveling. And from the outside looking in, it looked fucking like amazing. But I was skint. My mental health was chaotic and out of control. I had anxiety and depression, and I looked for answers. And I wanted to change, I wanted to change, but I wasn't prepared to change. And that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to change. Everybody wants to be the millionaire. Everyone wants to, well, not everyone, but, most people want the success and want the happiness and want it all, but they're not prepared to change themselves, which I didn't. And, I was looking for things, I was going to therapists, they would just talk to me about my problems, which never solved the problems. I was looking for solutions.
Yeah, it gets quite frustrating when you do that as well, because there's so many things going. I'll let you finish.
Yeah. So I took the antidepressants. I was seeking all the short-term fixes.
Yep.
That weren't giving me the solutions in the long term. And then when I met my mentor was the big epiphany moment, going back to what you said, and he introduced me to this concept of opening up the full potential of the mind. And back then, I was like, what the fuck are you going on about, mate? Like, you're off your head, right? Which most people think, like, when they first get introduced to this, that don't know any of this. And then he was like, look, I'll be prepared to help you because I see this broken guy, but I also see potential in you to want to grow. And I can see that you're ready to listen and accept the things I'll tell you. I was like, hands up, I will listen to everything that you have to say.
And that's the first step, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Being open, because I was so narrow-minded back then.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get, sort of personality.
Yeah, that's not like, because we've had those synergies there. That's not our fault. We're a product of our conditioning and our environment. That is. You were saying about how people like, oh, James is smashing it with his life. It's because that's what their values are and their measures of success are. It's totally different to what probably ours are now. As opposed to, I've never been as broke as when I drove around in a Range Rover and had 3 references. I've never been as skint as that.
Yeah.
So it's a complete mindfuck.
It is. So yeah, he opened me up to this concept, and I always remember the first question he asked me, and it was, he said, James, he said, you've come in, you've told me all your problems, and I've listened to you. He said, but tell me what it is that you want. And then I was just like, I just don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want this. I don't want that. And he was like, hold on a minute. He was like, that's not the question I asked you. He's like, tell me what you want, not what you don't want. And then I couldn't actually think of it apart from my DJing at the time. And he was like, look, let me try and make it a bit easier for you. He said, if you could wake up tomorrow, and he said, if you could see that your life has unfolded in front of you, You know, if you could literally wake up at bed and you see that everything in your life's the way you want it, in your health, in your relationships, in your wealth, mentally, emotionally, physically, what would that life look like to you? And I didn't know at the time, but he gave me a chance to think about it. And then that overwhelm of inspiration came, and I was like, yeah, I'd be happy, I'd be mentally strong, I'd have really good relationships around me, not toxic relationships I've got now. I'd be close to my family, all this and that. And then I got that inspiration from him, and he was like, you need to define that vision for yourself. You need to define exactly how that looks, how that feels in every single aspect, like to detail. Because you will become the story that you tell yourself. And I was like, my God, yeah. He's like, we tell ourselves stories every single day, whether they're negative or positive. If we're living in the past, we'll bring that past into the present, which will determine our future. And you will live that for the rest of your life if you allow yourself to. He said, or you can define your own story for the future as if it's already happened for you, and live that story every day. Read that every day. Look at that every day. And then you'll get to a point where the negativity will disappear out of your life, and all these things that you want will come into your reality. And I was like, shit, all right. So he helped me develop this.
How empowering was that? Because it kind of led me to the same thing about, hold on a minute, everything that you think about and you do, that's actually within your power.
Yeah.
You try and be intentional about it and you actually design it to a T, everything you do, suddenly everything becomes your own responsibility and it's all on you. And that was one of the things that just blew my mind, because I was like, hold on a minute, I can design my morning routine and create my state every single day. Yeah. It's all in my power. And that was just one of the most exciting things for me, I think.
Yeah, mate, that's literally it. And once we got to that point, and like what you said about responsibility, he said, if you want to see change in the world, James, it starts with you. You have to take not 90% or 99% responsibility of your life. You have to take 100% responsibility of your life, and stop blaming others. Stop blaming the outside world for your problems. Take full responsibility and do something about it. And, it's very, when people are at that stage where they've achieved these things, they're very straightforward talking, because they don't beat around the bush. They just go straight through. They don't go around their problems or away from their problems. They go straight, they face it head on. And that's what he done with me, and it was painful at the start, because I wasn't used to these things. I wasn't used to these words. I wasn't, it's a completely different language, completely different language, vision. What the hell's a vision? Living in the past for my whole life. And now you're telling me to change that and create a vision. What the fuck? Yeah. So
you're so willing at that point to make that change, aren't you? So there's just...
Yeah, I was desperate, mate. I was actually desperate back then, I was at the lowest points of my life when I was a DJ. And that's when I said I need help. And that's when I was prepared to be open. I was at a point where I wanted to kill myself. That's how bad it was. I was at a point where I wanted to take my life, because I was that depressed. And I was like, is this what my life is about? So, that was the big epiphany moment. And from that day, it changed everything. He helped me develop a mental plan. He mentored me every day. I was showing up, because that's half of it, just showing up.
Yeah.
And then...
when that alarm goes off, just get out there, do it.
That's literally it, mate. And, this mental plan it completely rewired my mind, completely rewired my habits, my behaviours, my environments. The toxic people and things that I was focused on disappeared, because it was kind of like a camera lens. And he always tells me to think about this. He's like, when you think of a camera, when it's focused in on a certain point, you can only see one thing at one certain time.
Yeah.
And and that's the same thing with our minds. He said, you can only focus on a certain amount of things at any given time, and the outer layer, the outer focus is blurry. So when your focus is just all on constructing your life, all on being positive, all things that serve you, that's what you'll find. So yeah, he helped me develop that plan, and now we're at a point where I lost my business through COVID. I had the coffee shop, hairdressers and stuff, and yeah, it's all right. But it was all like meant to be, mate. You know, with the mindset he helped me with, he was like, James, take it in your stride, lean into the pain that you're going through, and do something about changing your situation. You can always do something. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world. Always do something. You can always pivot.
You've got that mentality, mate. Just changes the game as well. Makes you so happy.
Yeah, and that's where we got to. And he said, what do you love? What are you passionate about? And he said, I'm passionate about what you've taught me, about mindset, about mental health, and about controlling your mind. He said, well, go out there and help people with it. He said, because that will give you so much happiness and gratification. And he said, if there's something that you want to pursue, go and do it. So that's what we did. We turned this mental plan that he taught me into a physical plan, like a how-to guide for people. Started giving it out for free, that people are struggling with the things that I've also struggled with, anxiety, depression, all that stuff. And then it worked. And then we was just giving it out to people, and then we achieved success with the program. And then we was like, right, if we really want to make a difference, how can we do that? So we was like, we need to set a new goal and we need a purpose for what we're doing. And that purpose was to change 1 million lives and build schools for kids. So that passion, that purpose has drove us to go back to the drawing board and create an online how-to step-by-step program for people online. So we can reach anyone in the world that wants the help. And that was successful. And then we was like, right, we physically can't help people one-to-one online if we want to help 1 million people. So where we've got to now is we are coaching mental health advocates, people that support mental health, charities as well, personal trainers have come on board, and just positive leaders generally, people that love this personal development space, this mindset space, that want to take their passion for what they know and turn it into an online coaching business. So we have systemized everything for people to basically pick up our business model and implement it for others in their own business. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. We don't just want to be the coaches, we want to coach people on how to become a coach. So that's where we're at now, and that's what we have sort of achieved. So I went from somebody that was anxious, depressed, wanted to kill themselves. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like no clarity, no purpose, no mission, no intention in life, just empty, to, finding my opportunity, taking it in my stride, going all in, and then to a point where we are now, giving people their own online coaching businesses to go out there and change people's lives. So that's what's going to get us to that goal of changing lives and building schools for kids. So yeah, that was my story, and that's the transformation, mate. So,
and I think probably the main element of success is that it's just the authenticity of it and the genuine passion about, you've been there. Very similar to my story, mate. Like I've been to the lowest of lows, all that stuff that you've said, even financially as well, even though I knew all the stuff. Yeah. And then building yourself back up, because you never ever want to see anybody else in that position that you were in before. And my sort of mission is also about educating people so they don't make the same mistakes that I do. I mean, I have a lot of older clients and all that sort of thing, but my main drive is to teach young guys, like the sort of young guys and women, to not spunk all their money in the sugar hut, not spend it all on things that are meaningless and that don't actually matter. To identify, what are their actual values? What are the things that they want in their life above the, pulling a girl on Saturday night, that actually matter and are meaningful, and will bring real joy to their life, and that sort of thing. And once you've been there and you've done it yourself, I think it just adds a whole nother level of authenticity and drive, because you're not fueled by external stuff anymore. It's fueled by your own passion and love for it. And you can just see that all over you, mate.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Well, it's not easy, is it? It's not easy like having. Didn't you? I used your car wrap service as well, didn't I?
You did?
F6 wraps. Was that you?
No, that wasn't me. I had a different company that I got kicked out of, right? So
Well, no, you don't need to go into. But I was going to just say, like, it's obviously difficult.
Yeah,
You've done that on the adversity of, the COVID stuff, having knocked businesses before,
yeah,
and this
yeah,
sounds like it's
yeah,
working well.
yeah. We had that business, that car wrapping business, and this was at a point in my life where I was making the switch from DJing to entrepreneurship. So that was the first business that I was going into. That was ages ago. And because I was very new to this personal development space, mindset, business development, strategy, I didn't have any business strategy. All I had back then, and this is a big one for people. Okay, like I thought back then, just positive thinking will get you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? And people don't like to hear this, but
It's an unpopular opinion, yeah.
But just thinking positive is not gonna give you what you want. It's a start. It's the fundamental beginning for you to start thinking positive. Yes, to see everything positive. Yeah, that's the first thing. And I thought that that's all I needed. Think positive, and I'll create the life I want.
It's that think and grow rich philosophy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is that, and I got kicked out of my business because of that, because I was uneducated on financial intelligence. Having a business plan, having a vision, having a purpose. I didn't have any business intelligence or business, and this is a big thing that people miss. People need to understand what assets are and liabilities are in personal and financial education. We don't get taught this stuff in school. So it's very hard for people. It's a hard concept for people to understand. But as long all they have to do is have a burning desire, to want to think and grow rich, if you like. So I got kicked out of that business because I just thought thinking positive was gonna build a good business, but that's literally not true. You can't think your way into building a good business. You can't think positive into just building a massive scalable business. It takes planning. There's science to getting rich. There's strategies that you have to implement. So that's what we've done in this business now. We make sure that we've done this business model so people don't have to go through that. We put positive people in our business to be able to go, thank you, I'm just going to go and market and go and learn this material, and they've already got their business set up for them. So the car wrapping thing, I got booted out of that because of my lack of intelligence towards business. But it got me in the door.
Then that was that realization of, oh shit, I don't actually know a thing about business. I might need to go and learn that now.
Exactly that. Exactly. It gave me a massive kick up the arse.
Yeah.
But there's more to life than just thinking positive, because there is. If you want to, it all depends on what people define as success. Everybody's got their own definition of that. And if it is just being happy and positive, then fair play.
Yeah.
But if it's, you want to take over the world and you want to make a difference and you want to change lives and do all this stuff, then it takes the necessary education and the experience. Because there is ups and downs, man. There's ups, there's downs, but once you develop this awareness of yourself and understand that everything happens for a reason, and it's all a lesson and a hidden blessing in disguise, your life can be a lot more in flow and in harmony when you have that attitude.
And you're going to hit a point. It's not always easy, but when you take failures as lessons, and we all have them. Like, I've done countless exams. I know, not in an arrogant way, but I know a lot about finance and all that sort of stuff. But there's still failures along the way. There's still people that say no. There's still things that don't go your way, and it's not because you don't know everything. It's just a lesson along the way that you have to adapt and learn. Not everyone's rational. Not everyone sees the way that things you do.
Yeah. It's good, man. It's good. So what are you up to now?
Yeah, so I run my...
What's your plans?
Yeah, my plans. Well, I've been doing my own business for about 8 months now, which has required financial planning. It's basically about helping people design their lives and achieve the things they want to achieve short, medium, long term, and actually having a financial plan and a strategy to do that. You hit on a massive point earlier about financial education. You know, people don't know what they don't know at the end of the day, and finance is a huge world made very complicated by a lot of people, politicians, people in the industry. When actually, once you actually sit down and be intentional about your finances and go, the first thing I do when I sit down with a client, I don't even talk about money whatsoever. We don't discuss money. We talk about what is important to you and why is it important to you? What are the things that you want to achieve and why? Short, medium, long term, different areas of your life. Once we've identified that, we can work backwards and start to look at how we allocate your capital to achieving those things further down the line. And it's what people are a lot surprised about when they come and sit down with me. They think they're going to talk about investing and growing money. But that's where we get to the point, again, that you made earlier, that wealth and richness is different to each person.
Yeah, exactly. And you just triggered something in my mind there. Like, my mentor taught me that, you know, if you haven't got, there's 3 aspects of life to be successful, and everyone needs it, you know, and that's wealth, health, and love in your relationships, or in love with what you do. Now, you can't describe, you can't necessarily describe love. It's just a feeling, you know. But health and wealth is necessities. You know, you have to have these things to survive. You know, and everybody's got a different definition. But you know, most people think that money will give them health. You can't buy health. You know, but it all interlinks into one. You know, because without health, you can't have wealth. You know, if you're not mentally strong, you know, if you're not emotionally intelligent, you know, then wealth is not going to happen for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you're not constantly investing into your health and into your relationships and into your wealth, then you're going to lack. You're going to lack in those areas, and money alone will not make up for your health. Money alone won't make up for your relationships in your love life. So you have to have a balance between all 3. So, you know, what you're talking about, financial intelligence and, you know, personal intelligence, it all interlinks. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and I think that's why there's so much synergy with this sort of thing, and why when I said, you know, I went the financial route, because what I know, so much what I talk about with clients is behaviors and about identifying all their triggers and motivators and the things that inspire them. Because, you know, having £1 million in the bank is great, but it's just an enabler to do the things that you want to do when you want to do it. And it's a sense, I've got it up there actually on my wall, but it's a sense of having a financial freedom, being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Some people, that might just be having half of what the next person has, but they can spend that time with their family because they've got the freedom to do it. And the thing I love about my job is every single person I sit down with is different. Challenge I've got is that every single person's perception of wealth management and financial planning is that they need to have £1 million to sit down and talk with one, where how you pointed out, it's the complete opposite. People just need to start small and have a plan.
Yeah, exactly that.
Have a plan. Because if you don't have one, you know, we both know where that leads us.
Yeah, it's just a confused mind, isn't it? It's what causes the anxiety. It's
exactly.
You know, it's not having clarity on where you're going, and that was half of my problem.
Was that the biggest? Because that just true in mind. Was that the biggest thing that made a difference for you? So even when I'm in the morning now and I've done my routine in the morning, if I don't have that plan for the day, I'm like, shit, where am I going?
Yeah, you know, some days are harder than others.
Yeah.
But, you know, as long as you've got something you can look at, you can always get back on track. You know, if you've always got a plan, and if you do find yourself coming off it or find yourself losing motivation, because everyone loses motivation, but it's the discipline to go back to your plan and have that clarity and go, right, I've fallen off the horse and get back on it now. You know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Even for me as a coach, you know, I fall off my plan. You know, nobody's perfect, but that's the whole point of personal development. It's development. It's a journey. It's not a quick fix, which everybody thinks it is. Like, people think, oh, I'll read something or I'll do something and then my life will change. You know, and a lot of people think information will give me the life I want, but it's so backwards. Like, people think that information alone will give them the life they want. That's just one part of it. You know, knowledge is not power.
No, we've never been such an informed generation, but lacking wisdom, isn't it?
Yeah, like people like, knowledge is not power, which people think it is. Applied knowledge is the power,
Yeah.
not the information alone. So learn something, implement it. Learn something, implement it all the time, and it's a constant growth of that.
Yeah.
Which I try and get people to understand. So yeah, mate, it's amazing what you're doing for people, man. Like financial intelligence, personal intelligence, emotional intelligence. It's all essential for people to grow in life. You know, because that's for me, the definition of life is growth. You know, we see it everywhere. You know, you look at a tree. You know, the meaning of a tree has a purpose to grow.
That logo.
What's that?
Is that what the logo's about?
Yeah, it is, mate. It is. You know, whether it's, you know, your brain or a tree, you know, we're all connected as one. You know, all of us, we're all connected as one entity, one mind. Yeah, and it's all doing one thing, which is growing. You know, so if we can understand the natural progression of life, that, you know, there's winter seasons, there's autumn seasons, there's summer seasons where we blossom. You know, there's cold times, there's hot times. You know, and if you can relate to that in terms of how nature grows and how this universe works, then you'll be in more of a flow and more of an understanding that there is good times, there is bad times, but it's all meant to happen. You know, life's not meant to be sunshine and rainbows. It's not, because we won't learn anything as humans. We're not designed that way. We're designed to fail. You know, like people, and that's the thing. People run away from failure, run away from fear. But, you know, it's like a baby, you know, when they're starting to walk, yeah? They start to walk for the first time and they fall over. You don't wrap them up in cotton wool, do you? And say, no, don't walk again. You keep pushing them until they run, until they're walking, until they're running, you know? And it's just, but we haven't got that. We've forgotten about that concept in our teenage life, in our adulthood. Yeah, like, oh, if I fail at something,
as a generation, we are wrapped up and suppose everything's supposed to be perfect. And, you know, it's that Instagram thing again. You know, you're supposed to have this by this date. An interesting thing that I heard on this when I was a bit like, oh, I'm not managing my own company yet, and all this thing, you know, years ago, is imagine if right then and there I was given my own company to manage with the employees and all that stuff. How would I manage that? Would I be ready for it?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely bloody not. I wouldn't have a clue. Exactly. So that's why you've got to go through these lessons. You've got to fail. You've got to do the challenges, because that's the only way you grow and you can become you. Prime example, me. Example so far.
Yeah.
If we hadn't have hit those rock bottoms, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't have made that change, that transition.
Exactly. I would never have met my mentor if I wasn't going through those tough times. You know, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody to go through that. But
you don't want to have to learn that way.
Yeah, but like the thing, this is something that I want to change the industry on how we look at mental health, right? Because when I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression, it was very easy for society and the mainstream media, if you like to call it that, to say, go take your antidepressants, go talk about your problems, go see a therapist. It's the mainstream thing to do. And it's
why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know, mate. And it's kind of like the same thing with the government's advice on nutrition. Yeah, eat your 5 a day and you'll be healthy. Yeah, doesn't make sense, does it? Because that's not for everybody. You can't just say eat your 5 a day and you're going to be healthy. No, everybody's got their own needs. Everybody's got their own problems that they need to solve. Yeah. So, you know, this, with the full potential of the mind and the program, it's all about questioning yourself. What's right for you? What's right for, you know, what's your vision? Create your own reality. Yeah. Don't have people telling you who you are and what you're going to become. You know, people told me I was never going to amount to anything. People told me I had anxiety and depression. And back then, that became my belief. And the more I believed in that, they've categorized me now.
Yes.
They've sectioned me off.
Yeah.
Now who I am. Like, fuck that, man. Like, middle finger up to those people that told me that, because I've changed.
How many of those limiting beliefs are there across the board these days? like that, where you just get pigeonholed. Like I listen to my girlfriend sometimes, and she's just like, "Oh yeah, but I'm not very good at that." Like, why? Who said you're not good at that? Oh, just, I haven't been good at that since school. So what? You're the same person since you from school?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell yourself that. Try it, learn it, do it.
Exactly.
And people get annoyed at you because it's challenging their way of thinking, and they're like, "Oh, you're just so positive all the time." It's like, no, I'm not.
It's not about being positive all the time. It's about understanding what serves you in your life. Like, I'll wake up sometimes in like my body's heavy. I don't wake up feeling positive. But like going back to what your girlfriend was saying, it's you become the story you tell yourself. If you tell yourself that I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. Yeah, even me talking about it right now is changing my biochemistry. It's changing the chemistry in my body right now. I can feel it.
So what do you, because this is actually quite a good one for me, because you're kind of at an elite level of this, where I'm sort of learning as I go.
Yeah.
What are those things that you do that, say when those things come up, like anxiety, I have breathing that I do now and all these things to handle them better, but those thoughts still come in. Yeah. I've got a big meeting after this, right? I've got a big meeting, lots of value to deliver, and I've got to smash it. So those anxieties might come in. How do you then handle those in a better way? Because it's not about avoiding them, is it? Because they will still come. It's not about eliminating them.
No, exactly. Hold on, wait there. Wait there, Sid. Just gotta get my charger. Sorry.
No way, mate.
So I mean, look, I always tell this story. Right, I learned this from Will Smith actually, and he talks about fear. Yeah, what is fear? Fear is just a creation in the mind. Yeah, how do you eliminate darkness? Turn on the light, right? Exactly. And at the end of the day, like you said, you've got your meeting coming up, you might feel a bit anxious, like, I don't know what's going to happen, can't anticipate it. The best thing for me that I do with things like that is vision, is to meditate, shut your eyes, you can do it wherever you want, with your hands on your knees, shut your eyes and vision how you want your meeting to end up, the end point, the end result. I always do that with my meetings, and it helps me, it guides me in a way that I can deal with every situation that comes up, because I know I know how I want the meeting to end up.
Yeah.
It's not going to come into a meeting and see what happens. It's coming into a meeting and knowing what's going to happen. I know what this outcome is of this meeting. I know what I want to achieve.
Start with the end.
Start with the end in mind, with everything, Whether it's your long-term goals, your long-term financial planning, medium, short-term, and the way you plan out your client's financial plan is the same plan that you can develop in small little goals like your meetings. So for me, I do that. And Will Smith taught me, he taught me that, why do we get so anxious and so fearful, like, leading up to events? He said, like, he went on a skydive, and 2 days before he was anxious, he was fearful, he was depressed, he was like really agitated, right? Really, because he's never done it before, he's scared of heights, right? And then he gets into the plane, he goes up there, he's shitting himself, and then he said, they count to 3, but they push you out on 1, right? And he said, but it's that when you just lean into your fear and you just like go into it and just overcome it, like sorry?
So in a practical sense, leaning into my fear, what is that? Because I'm always, like you said, I've learned the hard way. So if I'm anxious about doing something, fuck it, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, do it anyway.
Hit it head on. So is that what you mean?
Yeah, because he said, like, God places the most blissful experiences on the other side of terror. Like, so, we can dance around the problem all day long, right? But as soon as we lean into the problem, head it face on, is where we'll overcome those challenges. Yeah? You have to become aggressive, because if you're not, if you fluff around everything, beat around the bush, then you're constantly going to be dancing around the problem, and it's never going to go away. You have to face it head on and lean into it and take it in your stride. And that ultimately is what every positive leader does. You know, nobody doesn't have fear. Nobody is 100% positive. Like, every day is a decision on what we are going to overcome, what we're going to run away from. And, you know, it's because of our brain. We've got like a 1,000,000-year-old device brain that's always been programmed to run away from a problem or fight the problem. And with the society, you know, it used to be, you know, Tony Robbins taught me this. He taught me that, you know, back in the day, there was saber-toothed tigers. We'd either fight it or run away from it, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's social media, problems, meetings, all these things. And we can either run away from it and be fearful from it and just let it happen to you, yeah, without any anticipation, or you lean into it, you fight it with anticipation of how you want that to end up.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It gives you like the actual power and energy to, when you get those anxious feeling and nerves, use it as they're meant to be used, that to enhance your performance rather than hinder it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like when people told me I had anxiety and depression and that become my belief, I'll tell everybody and their dog I had that. And every time I affirmed that for myself, it would build that belief system up even more.
Yeah.
And it'd become a habit, and it'd be my conversation, you know. And it's only until, you know, my mentor, he said, look, back all this shit up, mate. He said, firstly, stop talking about your fucking problems. Like, everybody has them, right? But you either talk about them and consume yourself in your shit, or you look just for solutions. Yeah. Everybody has situations, but people either look like, think about all the problems in the situation, or think of all the solutions in the situation. We have a choice to decide how we think of a certain subject or matter. You know, you take a matter out of a subject, what is left? You know, it's your own decision, it's your own perception. You know.
Yeah. No.
So that's it, mate. Yeah.
We need to do this again, mate.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
There's obviously a lot of synergies between what we do and how you can sort of help people get better in their life. I mean, you said education as well is a huge thing. Once I've, you know, the business has done better than I thought it would, and it's going really well. Touch wood, thank God, whatever. But is getting to a point where we can put the education system, finance, tax, bloody any personal finance stuff that we should know into schools. And I've started work on that, on syllabuses and stuff. Unfortunately, I work with St James's Place, who are a FTSE 100 company, so they're a huge business who handle all the sort of investment side and portfolio management and all that sort of stuff. How have you enhanced your own sort of personal financial knowledge and all that sort of stuff? How have you learned personally?
My mentor taught me a lot, mate. You know, he's a successful entrepreneur, and he's known for scaling businesses. You know, so, you know, luckily for me, not everybody gets a mentor.
That sounds like it's been a massive, because I've done my own reading and stuff, but I've never really had a true mentor in that space.
Yeah. You know, he's got a lot of experience. He's a very wise person, spiritually, mentally. You know, every area of his life he's got it covered. You know, which is incredible. You know, because people seem to think that, you know, just focusing on health will give them the life they want, or just focusing on money will give them the life they want, or whatnot. But he's got it all covered, and I'm very grateful for that. Very blessed to have somebody like that in my life. You know, to tell me if I'm doing something wrong or tell me if I'm doing something right. So yeah, I mean, his education has come from his mentors. You know, so it's just constantly being passed down. But yeah, I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly, you know, listening, learning all the time from different people, different aspects of life. You know, and I think that's the key. I think, you know, to not just have one opinion on a certain subject. You know, if you want to learn about, you know, personal development or mindset, then get an opinion from somebody that's learned it from all different aspects of life and what mindset and personal development is. We've created our own system, which is opening up the full potential of the mind. So we're our own thing. aside from what normal people would teach, which separates us from what it all is. But
It's I think we should sit down and like share our knowledge on each side, because there's a lot I can learn from you in terms of the thing I struggle with a lot of these, like, don't get offended by me I'm not pigeonholing Harvey here, but the life coach people that you got outside there, that the things you see online, a lot of them, like, I'd say that you're trying to do is that they haven't come from that environment per se, so they don't know the exact challenges that you're facing. Whereas I know when speaking to you, you come from my world, so we have the same past almost in a way. We've had the same experiences, and you kind of have the same ambitions, with different skill sets and different knowledge sets. So I think there's a lot of help we can provide to each other. Me sort of maybe learning your, I don't know what if it's an app or course or whatever it is. And then me helping you financially with any guidance that you might need there. So
mate.
How can we leverage each other's knowledge set and skill set? It'd be nice if we could actually meet face to face for one.
But. Mate, however you want to do it, man. Like if you want to like add the value on this side, then I'd be more than happy to listen to you.
Well, you're obviously an ambitious bloke. You've got lots of planning and setting up your own businesses. You're obviously going to have goals, so we could probably start there. And I'd like to actually take my journey and maybe a bit more to an elite level, which is like something that you've done, and get a bit more guidance from you about maybe how I personally improve what I'm doing already.
What is your goal for your financial planning business?
So my business at the moment is growth. My number one goal is growth within 20. I love it. I absolutely love the job. So I don't want to retire as such. I want to build it to a scalable position of around 80 to 100 clients, ongoing management of those clients, because it's not just this is my advice, that's it. It's ongoing advice throughout a client's journey. So if we sit down and put a plan implemented towards your goals, we review that plan every 6 months. I sit down and have meetings with you regularly and all that sort of thing. So I've got a finite amount of clients that I want with my support. I've got 2 support staff now as well. Build that up to when it's like a recurring income stream, and I'm just managing those clients that I still like. That's the goal, really. And you know, I've got nearly 3.5 million in 8 months under management now, which is good. My goal was 1 million. So yeah, it's just doing all right.
That's good, mate. That's really good.
Yeah, and I mean that's.
Go on.
Sorry, go on.
No, I said I'd be more than happy just to have these chats, mate. You know, I have these chats every now and then, see how we're getting on. You know, if you you know, question me on what my goals are, then I'll tell you. And you know, we can set goals for each other, mate. You know, I can set goals for you personally. Like with your
accountability as well.
Yeah, accountability, mate. Like if you want to do that, I'd be more than happy for that. It's always good to have like accountability partners where we can help each other grow. So yeah, more than happy.
Well, no bullshit, straight talking. It's just about, you know, I'll be completely honest with you here, about reconnecting with people that you want in your circle in that environment. You know, Christmas parties is a prime example. You know, you got the people, your old crew, like Christmas parties, and I know what they're going to do. They're just going to, you know, go out, have the usual blowout and all that sort of stuff. And do I want to be involved with that anymore? Probably not. I want to be involved in an environment where I'm going to grow. And
this is how much it's changed for me, right? So normally I'll DJ on New Year's Eve. Mad parties, right? Like this time of year would be absolutely crazy for me, you know, for DJing. But you know, that's the past now, and you know, I look back on it and I think, like, you know, it's amazing how far I've come. But you know, from what I'd be doing back then to what I'm doing now, mate, I'm going to the church on New Year's Eve.
Mate, I did church.
I going to the church
until I was about 22, so I know what that's like.
Mate, do you know what it is?
DJing at the church.
You know what it is? Like, I'm not like, you know, I'm very open to all spiritual aspects of life. You know, I don't believe that you should just focus on one religion or one belief. I feel like you should open yourself up to all religions, all beliefs, all spirituality, all different things. Because at the end of the day, it's an opinion. Yeah, someone's opinion on life, right? And the more you can be open to other people's opinion, the more you'll learn. So
mate, this is a subject we probably need to cover off in a bit more detail. I've got to shoot now because
that's fine. But no, this is an amazing avenue, and let's catch up soon and let's do another talk, man.
Yeah, I'll WhatsApp. We'll get another one in next week or something because it's definitely sort of the right conversations we want to be having, isn't it?
Absolutely, man.
All right, mate. Been a pleasure.
And you, man. Take care.
Yeah, James. See you, mate.
Tell me they inspire, and I'm burning rubber like I need new tires. I'ma give it all, you know I'ma die trying. No, I'ma die high.